Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Huge flaw in Grace's plot. Finn plays detective with stunning results. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Monday, July 21st, suggest that there will be a significant hole in Grace Buckingham's strategy. John Finn Finnegan will also play detective with startling results. So here's what fans may expect. Bill Spencer just obtained the MRI findings from Grace and confirmed that Liam Spencer's tumor was 100% gone. That led to several celebratory moments as Friday's episode closed up, but Finn plainly couldn't shake the notion that something seemed amiss. Based on the pensive look on Finn's face, he isn't going to let this go. Of all, Bill is just thrilled that Liam's going to survive and doesn't care about the details of his treatment. Finn, on the other hand, is a doctor who loves to know all the information, especially when it comes to unusual cases like this one. That's why Finn will play detective in Monday's B&B episode and try to get to the bottom of all this. Bill indicated that Grace and her colleague were running the show, so you can bet Grace is going to go on the hot seat. There's a significant fault in Grace's approach, as she really should have worked harder to keep her part in all this under wraps. If Grace had pressed Bill to leave her name out of it, he undoubtedly would have done it out of gratitude. Grace could have gone about all this in a different way and probably have gotten away with it. However, Grace got sloppy as she was in such a hurry to get her hands on Bill's $1 million. Now Finn's going to have questions that Grace won't have the correct answers for. Grace is going to get irritated and create even more suspicions with her agitation. So bad news is developing. Finn may check with Bridget Forrester again and get her view on this unusual circumstance. Between the two of them, Bridget and Finn may ultimately figure out that Grace has pulled off the hoax of the century. It looks like Grace fabricated up a brain tumor for Liam and put all the pieces in place to get Bill's money in the end. Grace will wiggle out of whatever debt problem she's locked in, but it could cost her more than she bargained for if she loses her work and faces arrest. The bold and the beautiful teasers suggest Finn will show off his resolve when it comes to obtaining details on the real story. Fear for Liam grows for no reason? The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Friday, July 18th, 2025, offer another painful day for the Forresters and Logans, who seem to be in the dark. Or is Bill the one in the dark? Liam's weird surgery. Something really unusual is going on with Liam Spencer, and Dr. Grace Buckingham has been acting even stranger. Between bothersome texts, frustrating phone calls, and the way she had to get her hands on a cool $1 million, it looks like Grace may be as dishonest as her husband. Or maybe even worse. What the earth was Grace doing with that scalpel, and why did she look like she was up to something very ungood? She wasn't the one who was supposed to be performing the procedure. And Dollar Bill Spencer didn't seem to conduct a lot of homework before letting his son go to a private facility for experimental brain surgery. Read this, the bold and the beautiful spoilers. Desperate déjà vu Finn faked Luna's death to save daughter's life? He didn't even look into the doctor whom Grace introduced him to. Now, Liam is apparently cured. But is this for genuine, or what the heck is truly going on here? Sticking together for Liam. In a rare moment of togetherness, Brooke Logan, Ridge Forrester, and Taylor Hayes all agree to put their differences aside, so they may help Liam the best they can during his dying days. They have obviously not been notified that Bill developed a mystery miracle cure that might be more powerful than the mystery miraculous cure that John Finn Finnegan found for Eric Forrester's mystery disease not even 2 years ago. Surely, the trio has to bicker and dispute about something. So we expect Brooke and Taylor to turn passive-aggressive with one another over the planned vacation to Italy. Taylor does not like that Brooke is going, but she has confidence, right? Maybe Brooke will give her more confidence if she tells her she is flying to Nice with Nick. Marone. Discover the mystery doctor offering Liam a second chance at life. The bold and the beautiful spoilers and updates hint there's a mysterious new doctor on the way to the CBS drama. So viewers will ultimately find who is offering Liam Spencer a renewed opportunity at life. Grace Buckingham begins the process. Initially, Grace Buckingham will introduce Liam to a groundbreaking experimental treatment after Bill Spencer dips into his fortune. We'll find Grace feeling relieved as she receives a $1 million transfer notification on her phone. Grace will carry out an initial surgery, but other measures will be essential if Liam wants to heal. Liam will need to go to a private facility for the duration of his experimental treatment program, and a new doctor will be assigned to him upon his arrival. There's no information available currently on who this doctor might be, so it will be exciting to find who is behind the plan that could potentially save Liam's life. This seems really shady, but Bill won't care as long as Liam is cured. Even though the entire arrangement appears pretty doubtful, Bill won't object as long as it offers Liam a chance to fight his brain tumor. Naturally, there are genuine causes for concern as Grace has been rather restless recently. It seems that someone might be coercing Grace into gathering patients like Liam for this experimental regimen. This raises the notion that the new doctor harbors a darker goal and isn't only a benevolent individual attempting to assist people. It could be more about financial gain than real concern. However, B&B presumably wouldn't pursue this plot unless it was leading to Liam's rehabilitation. Regardless of any hidden intentions, this new doctor's unorthodox technique might offer Liam with the essential results he sorely requires. Bill is paying for everything and hopes to be forgiven for the Luna situation. As Bill is covering all expenses and making the arrangements, he now has a chance to reconcile for aiding Luna Nozawa be out from prison. Additionally, Bill can address other earlier faults he's made with Liam and attempt to better their father-son relationship in the future. With the mystery doctor expected to make their presence shortly, we pledge to keep you informed about any big casting developments. This may be risky and definitely experimental operation seems to be Liam's only shot to live, and Bill won't give up that chance for his kid. Spoilers for the bold and the beautiful hint that Liam is set to embark on an emotional roller coaster owing to the impact of this new doctor. So stay tuned for more. Finn suspicious, Grace's mistake, Liam's gratitude. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Monday, July 21st predict a lot of bombshells and twists. Liam Spencer is now tumorless, which will make him grateful for a second chance at life. Meanwhile, it seems that John Finn Finnegan is suspicious of this medical marvel. That could imply disaster for Grace Buckingham, who seems prepared to make another clumsy error in her covert project. Keep reading, and let's discuss about what is coming up in the next episode of the CBS soap opera, Liam Spencer's Medical Miracle. Let's start off with Liam's medical marvel. Liam was told that he had an inoperable brain tumor, but not right away. After Liam's collapse, the doctor stated it was swelling on the brain. No mention of tumors was made. Then, after that surgery, Grace reported that the neurologist just noticed the tumor during a second MRI. So, did they truly miss it the first time? Or did Grace lie about Liam having a tumor? Gratitude and second chances. Going back to Liam, he is overwhelmed and pleased at the news of his brain tumor being entirely removed. Just a few days ago, everyone expected Liam to die. If not by the bullet, then the tumor would have finally killed him. So, now that Liam has a second chance at life, he will want to make sure he lives it right this time. For Liam, that means being the best parent he can be to Kelly Spencer and Beth Spencer. Read this. Find out what occurred in the last episode of B&B. John Finnegan suspicious. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Monday, July 21st suggest that when Bill Spencer talked about the treatment, Finn was hesitant. Finn requested for literature and success numbers. However, Bill waved it off since he didn't have any of that. Just a promise from Grace. Bill said that the procedure would be tangled up in red tape if done the right manner. Then, Grace alerted Bill that the tumor was 100% gone. Of all, people know that Grace just been paid $1 million. So of course, she will claim Liam is all better. Read this, the bold and the beautiful spoilers. Taylor Hayes pressures Ridge to set wedding date. Finn undoubtedly does his own research and might try to challenge Grace. When Grace stammers or doesn't tell him the harsh facts, it could be another error. That will just make Finn even more suspicious. It would be just like Finn to lure Bridget Forrester into his probe. I wonder if Finn and Bridget working so closely could develop to passion? The Bold and the Beautiful has delivered surprising surprises previously, but nothing compares to the dramatic unraveling of Grace Buckingham's scheme that begins on Monday, July 21st. At first glance, it seemed like a miracle. Liam Spencer, left for dead after a horrific shooting, was not only revived but miraculously cured of what was supposed to be an inoperable brain tumor. Bill Spencer, desperate for his son's safety, paid $1 million to Grace Buckingham for an experimental procedure that seemingly brought Liam back from the jaws of death. But something about the quick pace, dodgy handoffs, and lack of documentation didn't sit right with John Finn Finnegan. A doctor first, investigator second, Finn finds himself forced to investigate after a pensive discussion with Bill raises more questions than answers. Grace had no proof, no peer-reviewed study, no established success rate for her unusual procedure. Only a knife, a surgical mask, and a desire for quick cash. That, and a cryptic transfer to a private facility overseen by an unidentified colleague. A figure no one can seem to track. When Finn questions her, Grace stammers, offering vague justifications and deflecting direct inquiry concerning Liam's MRI results, surgical records, and discharge paperwork. What Finn discovers next is earth-shattering. The MRI Grace gave to Bill was doctored, literally. Bridget Forrester, brought in for a second opinion, runs the same scan through hospital systems and finds that the image file metadata doesn't match Liam's scan history, pointing to a large deception. The scan wasn't even taken in the same hospital system, suggesting it was duplicated and modified from another patient. That finding leads Finn and Bridget down a rabbit hole of faked medical records, offshore financial accounts, and an unlawful cooperation with a foreign facility infamous for unethical experimental research. Meanwhile, Liam, back home and happy about his second chance at life, is utterly ignorant that his so-called cure might be nothing more than a deception devised to extort his father's riches. Grace, under growing pressure, begins to fracture, showing signs of psychosis, insomnia, and guilt. She receives weird phone calls at odd hours and deletes texts from a number saved simply as R. Is this R, her former husband, Reese Buckingham, conducting the fraud from afar? Could Grace have slipped back into old behaviors under his influence? Finn looks more and uncovers a money trail linking to a now-defunct medical shell company situated in the Cayman Islands, one that Reese once used to funnel stolen monies during the Beth baby exchange incident. The deeper Finn dives, the more horrifying the truth becomes. Grace may not have only fabricated Liam's tumor diagnosis. She may have conducted a completely unneeded surgical operation to imitate a cure and cover her tracks. In doing so, she jeopardized Liam's life to create a credible miracle. What's more disturbing is the potential that she was never the only one participating. Finn fears at least one other doctor at the clinic helped arrange the procedure and may still be treating more vulnerable patients with fabricated medical issues to cash in on desperate families. This new doctor, yet to be named, is likely the ultimate mastermind behind the swindle, and Grace may merely be a pawn in a much larger, darker enterprise. Finn's search for this mystery figure takes him to old medical journals, obscure licensing boards, and even a questionable surgical convention in Paris, where he recognizes Grace in a group photo next to a man with a concealed name badge and the initials DB. Meanwhile, Liam begins experiencing memory loss and violent headaches, symptoms Grace told Bill to expect from normal post-operative swelling. But Bridget knows better. These are signs of neurological trauma, likely caused by tampering or even unnecessary incisions in Liam's brain. Bill, in denial at first, opposes the thought that he's been deceived. But when Finn lays out the facts, even Dollar Bill can't deny the glaring truth. His son's life may have been harmed, not rescued, by a woman he trusted with $1 million and Liam's future. What began as a father's desperate gamble has now grown into a full-blown medical conspiracy. Finn, growing more preoccupied with justice, discloses Grace's doctored MRI to a friend in the Department of Health, sparking an official investigation into her credentials and recent medical history. It turns out Grace was already under secret review for suspect billing practices at her previous hospital, and she had her license suspended in 2 other states before coming to Los Angeles. Finn and Bridget produce a detailed medical report showing how Grace's operation had no foundation in scientific literature, identifying contradictions between Liam's scans, surgical scar placement, and purported treatment plan. Meanwhile, Sheila Carter, surprisingly one of the few who trusts Finn, advises him that if Reese Buckingham is behind this, he may be stepping into more danger than he realizes. As Sheila points out, Reese already faked a baby's death. What's to stop him from inventing medical miracles to launder money? Tensions grow as Liam's symptoms worsen, forcing Bill to finally face Grace at her private office. The confrontation grows heated, with Bill pounding his fist into her desk and demanding the name of the mysterious doctor. Grace, cornered, tearfully admits that she doesn't know his full name, only that he was introduced to her by Reese and paid handsomely to help with patients who had nowhere else to turn. When Finn arrives with Bridget and an LAPD liaison, Grace panics and tries to flee, but is arrested on the spot for medical fraud, grand larceny, and reckless endangerment. Bill, distraught, promises Liam that he'll do everything it takes to reverse the damage, even if it involves flying in world-class doctors to analyze the real status of Liam's brain. The consequences reaches across families. Hope Logan breaks down in tears as she discovers that Liam may have been butchered rather than saved. Ridge and Taylor, unified for once, agree that whatever is going on with Grace and Reese needs to be exposed, and resolve to safeguard Steffy, Kelly, and anyone else who might be vulnerable. As Liam has additional scans under Bridget's supervision, a startling reality is revealed. There never was a tumor. What Grace had exhibited as mass was simply scar tissue from his original surgery. The entire tumor diagnosis was falsified from the start, possibly based on stress-induced neurological symptoms misunderstood purposely. Finn, horrified but vindicated, is left to digest the implications. A fellow doctor betrayed everything he stands for. A family nearly lost everything, and now a new issue looms. Who is the true doctor behind the scenes, and what will he do next to keep the truth buried? The Bold and the Beautiful has never been more compelling as Finn's detective instincts go into high gear, unearthing a web of deception that may lead right to Reese Buckingham himself, and a medical black market that threatens to swallow Liam's fate whole. Grace's problem wasn't just sloppiness, it was hubris, and now that defect may be the thread that unravels everything. Stay tuned for a storm of courtroom drama, medical intrigue, surprising returns, and a new mystery doctor whose arrival could change the direction of Liam's life again. The Bold and the Beautiful's Monday, July 21st episode bursts with discovery and suspicion as John Finnegan refuses to be misled by a miracle with no science behind it, and his instincts spark a discreet but relentless investigation that might destroy Grace Buckingham's entire life. With Liam Spencer's MRI confirming his brain tumor had magically vanished, mere days after a terminal diagnosis, Bill Spencer praised the outcome and swiftly shelved the finer details of Liam's unusual cure. But Finn couldn't turn away from the blatant discrepancies. The instant Bill waved off queries about the surgical literature and success rates, a switch flicked in Finn's brain. This wasn't just a miracle, it was a cover-up. And Grace, the one lady who stood to gain financially from it all, suddenly become his primary suspect. In her eagerness to collect Bill's $1 million payment, Grace made a major misstep. She allowed her name to remain tied to a reported miracle that couldn't withstand medical scrutiny. If she had pressed Bill to disguise her connection, maybe she could have remained in the shadows. Instead, she courted accolades and money in equal measure, leaving a messy trail of lies and falsified statistics in her wake. Finn starts his inquiry quietly, obtaining the original MRI files Grace sent to Bill. But what he receives doesn't match Liam's medical history. The scan metadata is incongruous with Cedar's imaging systems, and the timing precedes Liam's original diagnosis. Something's off. Worse, Finn observes scar tissue in the scan that shouldn't be there unless there had been past brain trauma, which there hadn't. This isn't a recent photograph, it's recycled. The red flags are swinging fiercely in the wind. Finn loops in Bridget Forrester, who initially hesitates. After all, they're accusing a colleague of serious wrongdoing. But once Bridget sees the fake scans and the anomalies in Liam's neurological profile, she believes Finn is onto something. The two begin discreetly re-evaluating Liam's data, comparing blood panels, imaging, and surgery logs. That's when the house of cards starts to tumble. Grace never put Liam's operation into the hospital's surgical registry. There's no anesthesiologist report, no nurse's log, no important tracking. It's as if the procedure didn't happen, because it didn't. The only medical proof that anything was done is Grace's word and a small, minor surgical scar on Liam's temple, an incision that Bridget adds could have been cosmetic or a decoy. This wasn't a tumor removal. It was performance art, and the audience was Bill Spencer's wallet. The scandal grows as Finn dives into Grace's finances. He uses contacts from his time as an intern in the Bay Area and discovers that Grace received repeated wire transfers in the last 72 hours from unidentified shell corporations.